Everybody. My name is Kirk Saduski. I'm an executive at Playtone, Tom Hanks and Gary Goetzman's production company. We we produced Band of Brothers 20 years ago. We produced The Pacific about 10 years ago for HBO, and now are in the midst of producing Masters of the Air for Apple Plus, a multi-part limited series about the Eighth Air Force during World War II. And I know that's a subject that is dear to many of your hearts. It is based on Don Miller's book called Masters of the Air, and it's really a dramatic retelling of the experience of those men, those guys, and that unique experience of the bombing air campaign over Germany that was conducted by both the Eighth Air Force and, of course, the RAF. We are in post-production in Los Angeles, where I'm speaking to you from. It is a long process, as you can imagine, but we are in the middle of it. I think you will be very happy when it does when it begins to stream on Apple, which will be probably in mid spring, and there will be the visual effects that you have never seen before. Aerial combat, in a way, I think is close as technologically possible at this point of what it was like to be in the nose or in the cockpit or in the fuselage of a B-17 as you were flying over Bremen or Berlin, and being shot at with flak and being approached by Messerschmitts and 109s. And then, of course, just the drama of it. And what was it most importantly about the men? What was inside these men that allowed them to keep climbing inside the B-17s after they had seen what it was like, and yet they had to keep doing it, and they did. And what it all meant, why this was necessary, why us Yanks were there, and why you wanted us there, because we had a common enemy. And so that's what our series is about. If I had to sum up what ultimately what the series was about, is what I just said. How did these men keep climbing back into those B-17s, trip after mission after mission? I had come over to East Anglia on a little bit of a tour back in 2017 at the invitation of Pete Waters and Stewart. And they brought me from Playtone and John Orloff, who was our primary screenwriter for the project, and Don Miller, of course. And we toured around and spent time at Thorpe Abbotts, which is the air base the show is based at, and Cambridge and Norwich, and a number of other bases, and really had a spectacular time. The people were lovely, gracious, and I was struck. We all were struck. Don had experienced it before because he goes over all the time. But John and I were just struck by the enduring interest and even passion that people in the UK, particularly in East Anglia, have for the Eighth Air Force and the story of the Eighth Air Force. So we had a great time. It really is it really was a highlight trip of my life. I get to go to a lot of great places, but I will never forget that trip. I got to address a number of groups and talk to a lot of people, and it was not only gratifying, but it was a learning experience for John and I to actually be at Thorpe Abbotts, to be on the control tower that they've reconstructed there. So we could imagine what it was like for the 100th Bomb Group, which is the group that we were portraying in the show. We could really envision what that was like for those guys. Imagine those planes taking off and then waiting on that control tower for the planes to come back hours later. And the shock, of course, when some planes didn't come back. So really a spectacular time. I can't think. Ann and Pete were so great. Were so gracious. We had a ball. We had a lot of fun. There's a lot of pubs along the way, so we had a lot of fun with that. Related to all of this, of course, and very apropos of this subject matter, and is another project that Playtone is involved and is producing along with Christian Fry, is a short subject documentary, but large screen, short subject, but large screen, called The Friendly Invasion. Again, a term that you guys are very familiar with. And it's really about the relationship between the Yanks and the Brits. The Yanks who came over started coming over in 1942 and stayed there through 1945 for the duration, and the British people that they met and they interacted with for all that time. And this short is not really a military, well, of course it's military, it's an Air Force base and it's World War II, but we focus more on the relationship between the two peoples, the two cultures. And Christian and I look at it as a love story. A love story not between a particular Brit and a particular Yank, but between two peoples, between two cultures. And love stories are complicated things. They're not, they don't run smoothly, because then they would be, if they run smoothly, there's no drama there. That's not the story. You they're complex, they're important. There's ups and downs, and that's how we are going to portray our version of the friendly invasion. And so that's our plan. I know a question that I get all the time, and I'm about when will Masters of the Year when will everybody be able to see Masters of the Year? Right now, Masters of the Year is slated to start streaming on Apple Plus mid-spring of next year in 2023. So keep an eye out for that. I know there were a lot of people eager to watch, and that makes us very happy, of course. So thank you very much. I hope to see some of you in person as Kristen and I proceed with the movie Friendly Invasion. In the meantime, good luck to all of you, and thank you very much.